Glass Castle, a memoir by Jeannette Walls, provides a powerful and poignant narrative of her unconventional childhood and the challenges she faced growing up in a deeply dysfunctional family. The memoir, which was published in 2005, explores themes of poverty, neglect, resilience, and the complex relationships between parents and children. Through Walls' honest and unapologetic recounting of her life, the reader is drawn into her experiences of both hardship and survival. Jeannette Walls was born in 1960 to Rex and Rosemary Walls, two individuals whose love for their children was often overshadowed by their self-destructive behavior and unstable lifestyle. Throughout her childhood, Walls lived in a variety of places, including the deserts of Arizona, the Appalachian Mountains, and later in a dilapidated house in West Virginia. Despite this chaotic upbringing, Walls eventually became a successful journalist and author, and The Glass Castle serves as a reflection on how she overcame her circumstances. Early life and the influence of her parents. Jeannette's parents, Rex and Rosemary, were both highly intelligent and creative individuals, but they were also deeply flawed. Rex Walls was a brilliant but reckless man, often alternating between grandiose dreams of invention and intellectual achievement and bouts of destructive alcoholism. Rosemary Walls, on the other hand, was an artist who found herself more enamored with her own creative pursuits than with the practical needs of her children. Rather than taking responsibility for their children's well-being, Rex and Rosemary often chose to follow their own whims, living a transient bohemian lifestyle. The title of the memoir, The Glass Castle, refers to one of Rex's grandiose dreams, a house made entirely of glass that he promised to build for his family. This dream, much like many others that Rex had, was never realized. The Glass Castle represents the false promises of a better life that Rex often made to his children, but could never deliver. Despite his failures, his children held on to hope and believed in the dream, seeing it as a symbol of their father's potential. This dream is also symbolic of the emotional and physical instability that characterized the Walls family life. As a child, Jeannette experienced firsthand the deep contradictions in her parents' behavior. On one hand, Rex could be charming, intelligent, and capable of inspiring his children with his adventurous ideas. On the other hand, his alcoholism led to violent outbursts, irresponsibility, and periods of neglect. Jeannette's mother, Rosemary, remained detached from the practical concerns of everyday life, often neglecting her children's basic needs in favor of her own artistic ambitions. Throughout the memoir, Walls portrays the tension between her love for her parents and her deep-seated understanding that their behavior was harmful to her and her siblings. Life on the road. From an early age, Jeannette and her siblings were forced to adapt to an unstable life on the road. The Walls family moved frequently, sometimes due to Rex's inability to hold down a job or pay bills, and other times because of their desire for adventure. Jeannette vividly describes the squalid living conditions they endured, including a period when they lived in a shack with no running water or electricity. The family lived in extreme poverty, often relying on charity or the kindness of strangers to survive. Despite the hardships, Jeannette's childhood was not without moments of joy. She recounts vivid memories of her father's colorful storytelling and his imaginative games. Rex's unpredictable behavior, however, often left his children in difficult and dangerous situations. For example, he frequently drove while intoxicated, putting the entire family at risk, and the children were often forced to scrounge for food or help clean up after their parents' messes. Jeannette's resilience emerged early. Even as a young child, she took on adult responsibilities, often looking after her siblings and ensuring their safety. She also developed a fierce determination to escape the cycle of poverty and neglect that defined her family's life. At one point, she even tried to take control of the family's financial situation by finding work and managing the household budget, even though she was just a child. This early sense of responsibility and survival instinct would prove to be crucial as she navigated her tumultuous childhood. The importance of education. One of the key elements of The Glass Castle is Jeannette's relationship with education. Despite her parents' neglect and lack of formal schooling, Jeannette and her siblings were encouraged to value learning. Rex, for all his faults, instilled in his children a love for reading and intellectual curiosity. Jeannette recalls how he would often read to them, and how the family would visit libraries in every town they lived in. Rex believed that education was the key to success, and he often made grand promises of how they would escape poverty through education and ingenuity. However, Rex's dreams often collided with reality. His constant inability to provide stability or support for his children's education meant that Jeannette and her siblings often had to fend for themselves. At various points in her childhood, Jeannette was forced to teach herself, using books as her primary source of knowledge. She also had to deal with the trauma of attending several different schools, often arriving at new ones mid-term and struggling to fit in or catch up academically. Despite these challenges, Jeannette's commitment to education never wavered. She was determined to make something of herself, and it was through her own perseverance that she eventually earned a scholarship to attend college. Education became her way out of the cycle of poverty and dysfunction that had defined her early years. The complex relationship with her parents. One of the most compelling aspects of The Glass Castle is Jeannette's complicated relationship with her parents. Throughout the memoir, she both criticizes and defends her parents, expressing love for them while also acknowledging the harm they caused. She writes about her intense longing for her parents' love and approval, but also about the anger and betrayal she felt as she grew older and realized the extent of their irresponsibility. In particular, Jeannette's relationship with her father is a mixture of admiration and frustration. Despite his failings, she often sees Rex as a victim of his own dreams and addictions. She recognizes that his actions were often driven by a combination of genius and madness, and that his deep love for his children was obscured by his self-destructive tendencies. Similarly, Jeannette's relationship with her mother is marked by ambivalence. Rosemary's detachment and neglect made it difficult for Jeannette to connect with her, but Jeannette also understands that her mother was not necessarily a malicious figure. Rather, she was an artist who was more consumed with her own passions than with the practicalities of raising children. The tension between love and resentment toward her parents is a central theme in The Glass Castle. Jeannette is not afraid to portray her parents in a critical light, but she also acknowledges their humanity and the ways in which their actions shaped her. The pursuit of freedom and success. Despite the trauma of her childhood, Jeannette Walls eventually found a way to break free from the cycle of dysfunction and poverty. Her escape began with her decision to move to New York City, where she struggled to build a career as a journalist. She worked multiple jobs, scraping by with very little money, but she never lost sight of her goal. Over time, Jeannette achieved success, becoming a respected writer for New York Magazine, and later writing The Glass Castle. The memoir ends on a bittersweet note, with Jeannette reflecting on how her parents, who had spent much of their lives wandering and dreaming, ended up living in poverty, even as she achieved financial stability. In the end, Jeannette was able to create the stability that had eluded her childhood, but she did so without her parents, who continued to live in their own world of illusion and denial. The Glass Castle is an inspiring and emotional memoir that tells the story of a young girl's determination to rise above the hardships of her childhood. Jeannette Walls' ability to forgive her parents while acknowledging the damage they caused is a testament to the complexity of family relationships. The memoir not only explores the personal and emotional challenges Jeannette faced, but it also serves as a broader commentary on the impact of poverty, addiction, and neglect. Through her powerful storytelling, Walls invites readers to reflect on their own relationships, dreams, and the ways in which they overcome adversity.